Okay, you already in there? I can bring it because I'm old and like paper, but you don't need it. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Schode. I'm the town manager here in Southington, and I have the honor of overseeing the first few minutes of this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, November 16, 2021, at the John Weissel Municipal Center. Director, please call the roll.
Commissioner Clock?
Here.
Commissioner Hammersley?
Here.
Commissioner Salka?
Here.
Commissioner Santago?
Here.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Here.
Commissioner Volpe?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Cavella?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Coles?
Present.
Okay, would the four elected members of the Planning and Zoning Commission please rise?
You can call Steve. Call my name.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Wulowski?
Here.
Sorry, Steve.
First of all, congratulations to all of you. We'll be swearing in the elected officials first, and then later on in the meeting, we'll be swearing in two alternates. So can you please raise your right hand? After I finish this paragraph, please say, "I do" or "I will." Right? Do you solemnly swear to be true and faithful to the Constitution and governments of the state of Connecticut and the United States of America? And do you faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as Planning and Zoning Commissioners to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations. Next item I have is I'm looking for a motion for the chairman of the 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission.
Town manager, sir, I would like to make a motion. Exceptional leaders need no lengthy introduction. They showcase their success through action and results. And I am honored to nominate a leader who has done that for this commission over the last 2 years. I nominate Robert Hammersley as chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you. We have nomination. Do we have a second to that nomination?
I'd like to second that nomination.
We have a second. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Director, please call the roll.
Commissioner Clock?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Not yet. but
Oh
yeah.
my God. Sorry. I'm just going through this roll here. Commissioner Salka?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Wulowski?
Yes.
Alternate Commissioner Cavello?
There's no votes for
No.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Now it's
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hammersley last.
Commissioner Hammersley?
You do vote for yourself?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Before we move into the next item on the agenda, I just want to briefly talk about a couple things. First of all, I want to thank the friends and family of all the people that support the people that sit up here. We're all volunteers, and the time away from our family is something that we put on our spouses or significant others or kids, and it's greatly appreciated. I know for myself, for my wife and my child who's sitting out there. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to serve our town, and I'm sure the same goes for everybody else up here, either the newly elected ones or the ones that have been serving for a while. There's been talk about a referendum over a couple things that have happened with planning and zoning over the last year. On November 2nd, that referendum was held, and I would suggest to everybody up here and everybody in the audience and the other 43,501 members of the town of Southington, that referendum delivered a mandate to this commission. And I think that it showed that there's overwhelming support for the efforts that we've engaged in over the last couple of years. Those have included, just to mention a few, engaging our community in a dialogue. It's something that we have taken great pains to do, and something that I think has showed a benefit. And I think it lends ourselves to better decision-making. Working with town council leaders, specifically mostly Paul Czaplinski, who's out there in banking 196 acres of open space, and also in the midst of a worldwide pandemic where most of us were meeting in a virtual sense, we brought in over 20 new businesses into Southington. And I think that those are all things that we have done that everybody up here should be proud of that engaged in that. Commissioner Volpe, Sulcus, and Tago, and Commissioner Laux, you have been the foundation of each of those achievements, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done. Commissioner Tedesco, I welcome you. I look forward to working with you. I know you and I have had some conversation. I am especially interested in working with you on farmland preservation. I look forward to doing that in trying to preserve our farmlands in town, a very important thing to me, and I think to you as well. Commissioner Wolowski, your insight is something that I look forward to everybody hearing besides myself. What a lot of people don't know is that Steve and I would have conversations after meetings, and he would make a point to me, and I would say to him and myself, "Wow, that's really insightful. You need to share that with everybody." I hope your voice is there, and I look forward to everybody hearing the things that I've heard Steve share with us over the last year that he served on this commission as well. Commissioner Clock. I can't say enough. I'm so happy that you're back here. I look forward to continuing to work on the open space preservation, engaging in a dialogue on implementing the plan of conservation and development, probably our second most important document that we have, and also on historical preservation and recognition, something that you've done over the years, and I look forward to you doing that. I think that these things are the things that you'll see us address over the coming year, continuing to work on open space whenever, wherever possible. Addressing our housing needs in accordance with our plan of conservation and development is certainly a topic that we'll be taking up very soon. And also ramping up for the upcoming revision of the plan of conservation and development, which even though it's 5 years away, is not that far away, believe it or not. And I hope all of us can get together, roll our sleeves up, and get to work. So I thank you all for your support, and I look forward to working with each of you over the coming 2 years. Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion for the election of a vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to
Commissioner Satago. Yep.
nominate to continue in his role, Mr. Robert Salka for vice chair.
Okay, we have a motion for Commissioner Sulka to serve as vice chair. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Volpe with a second. Is there any further nomination? With that, Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Clock,
Yes.
Chair Hammersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Santago,
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Salka.
Yes.
So we have a 7-0 vote. With that, Commissioner Sulka, congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on, we'll entertain motions for the election of a secretary of Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'd like to nominate Peter Santago for secretary.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Wolowski for Peter Santago. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Tedesco with a second. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Commissioner Volpe can tell you stories
Yeah, I
about
was
that.
about to say, just 4 meetings to get my life.
You're right off the bat.
So we have a motion that's been seconded. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Clock,
Yes.
Chair Hammersley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka,
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Santago.
Yes.
With that, congratulations. Now we're looking for the appointment of alternates. I did receive a couple names earlier today. Cared, I'll get it. And Tessa Ma, both were passed over to us. So do we vote on these now?
You need to actually make a motion for both of them and a second and vote.
Okay, let's start off with Kat. Can we get a motion for the appointment of Kat Caird as an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I'll make a motion to appoint Kat Caird, right? Did I say that right? Okay. As an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? Can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Clock,
Yes.
Chair Hammersley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka,
Yes.
Commissioner Santago,
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe,
Yes.
Commissioner Wolowski.
Yes.
All right, congratulations. I will open it up for a motion to place Commissioner Tessa Ma as an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll make a motion to appoint Tessa Caravan Ma as alternate to planning and zoning.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mr.
We have a
Chairman.
second. Any discussion? Seeing none, can you call the roll, please, Mary Ellen?
Commissioner Clock,
Yes.
Commissioner Santago,
Yes.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilowski,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka,
Yes.
Chair Hammersley.
Yes. Congratulations.
Can the alternates please rise? Raise your right hand, please. At the end of my paragraph, can you say, "I will" or "I do"? Do you solemnly swear to be truthful and faithful to the constitutions and the governments of the state of Connecticut and the United States of America, and you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as alternates to the Planning and Zoning Commission to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
So I think it's fair to say that we have a quorum. I will point out that I think that this is the first time, at least since I've been here, but in a while, that we have an actual fully elected board sitting up here where all 7 members are elected, and we have 4 alternates that are occupying those spots. So very exciting stuff. With that, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? If we could remain standing for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. At this point, it is my great honor to recognize Chairman of the Town Council, Victoria Triano, as well as former Chair of the Planning and Zoning, Mike Del Santo, for the purposes of recognition of our previous member, Sue Locks. Hi.
No, it's okay, you can talk. Congratulations, all of you. I have such great confidence in you. I'm going to, if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I'm going to invite Councilman Paul Chaplinsky, Councilman Jim Morelli. Are there any other council people here that I don't know about? I'm going to invite them to come up. I want you, Susan, would you come up, please? We all know Susan Lotz. We have served with her. We have admired her in so many ways. She has a way of getting people involved. As a matter of fact, she got me to her church a couple of years ago. So, but Susan, because of your service in town, the town council didn't want to let it just go, and so we want to recognize you. And so let me read it. The town of Southington Town Council official proclamation, let it hereby be known that the Southington Town Council recognizes and commends the service of Susan Lotz. The town of Southington would like to proclaim much appreciation and gratitude to Susan Lotz for her dedication and service to our community, both as a member of several commissions and for her active participation in many other worthwhile Southington organizations. Sue graduated from Southington High School in 1977 and received a bachelor's
Yes.
in business administration management from the University of Southern New Hampshire. In 2001, Susan became an alternate on the Conservation Commission. After 1 year, she was appointed and served as secretary until 2006. Also in 2006, she was appointed to the Senior Citizens Commission, where she served 2 terms, ending her term of service in 2012. Sue began as an alternate to the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2011 and was elected to the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2013. In her 8 years as a Planning and Zoning Commissioner, she was present for 159 of the 168 meetings held. That's a 95% attendance record. Oh my goodness. Take note, everybody. There's a record here. In 2017, Sue was also appointed to the Ordinance Review Committee and has served 2 terms. In addition to her involvement in public office, Sue also works with a variety of civic organizations. These include the Southington Senior Citizens Commission, the American Legion, the Holy Trinity Church, and the Falcon Nest number 307. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Victoria Tree, Chairman of the Southington Town Council, on behalf of the entire Town Council, who hereby thanks Susan Locke for her dedication and service to the town of Southington, proclaim this 16th day of November 2021 for the town of Southington. It is signed by me, Victoria Trina, Council Chairwoman, and also Mike Del Stanford, Town Council member, but was chairman for many, many years here. Congratulations, Susan. We have one of the chairman pins for you, as a thank you. I know, you've done so much, service for this community, and we just want you to wear it proudly. You certainly deserve it. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Chair, I just want to take 1 minute. I did have the pleasure of working with Sue for about 8 years, and she's been nothing but wonderful. Chairperson of Planning and Zoning Commission, constantly reached across the aisle. She always made sound, wise decisions for the people of Southington. So we thank you for your service. Really great to work with, and we couldn't let this just go. So we appreciate you coming back tonight and letting us give you this honor. It's much appreciated. Well,
It was quite the honor and pleasure. Thank you. Also, on behalf of the town council, I have a pin for each one of you. Elected people, you guys out there. But the chairman's pin is something that is very serious at the level of the town council. It is a weighty pin, not just physically, but with this pin, we feel that you represent this community, that you will do what's right for this community, that you will continue the tradition that you've always had in protecting and serving our town. So I would like to give each one of you our town pin and say thank you so much for willing to be part of this wonderful commission as you stand up to service. Thank you so much from the town of Southington.
Thanks, Victoria.
And the town council. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Should have worn something with a lapel.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do we all get a pin?
Yeah.
New pin?
Yes.
Present.
Dina.
Thank you.
Go.
Nice. A shiny new one.
Yes, indeed.
That's
Thank you. God
Like
bless.
Christmas came early.
Don't worry about
Yeah, I already have it. Make sure Steve gets one.
Wearing my sweater when he left the house, and he had it on.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I don't
everybody.
know.
Great honor.
Yeah, Halloween's over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Does he need one?
so at this time, I'm gonna take, we'll call it a 5-minute break. I know that I have a member of my family out there who probably has to get home and get to bed, and I think there's other family members. So why don't we just take a 5-minute break, and at that point, we'll come back and pick up at item number 11 on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just say-
2 years. We don't
All right, well, you're sitting right next to each other, but whatever.
Peter, because
Still third.
Yep.
that's all.
So again, if we could just come back to order, item number 11 on our agenda is commissioner discussion. I have a thought to keep this as a standing agenda item. It just gives us an opportunity to talk about a couple of items. Tonight, I want to talk about some subcommittees that we're going to be starting and some new positions that we're going to be starting. One of those, as I mentioned earlier in the night, is a POCD implementation subcommittee. We're going to ask Jen Clark to head that up for us. And Jen, you can work with Mary Ellen on scheduling time. And if somebody is interested, any member of the commission is interested in participating in that, please reach out to Jen and let her know. And I'm sure that she will engage you. The other thing that I wanted to talk briefly about is there's been a lot of action over the last year or so, specifically on zoning issues up in the Hartford area with the state legislature. In light of those events, I'm going to ask Steve Wulowski if he'd be willing to serve as our legislative liaison, as sort of a point person to watch the stuff that's going on there and report back to us on an ongoing basis of things that we should be aware of. So Steve, if you're willing to do that, I would appreciate it. We do have a couple other standing subcommittees. So for the newer members especially, I'll just mention some of those. We have a regulations review committee, which is headed by Peter Santago over here. And they look at our regulations on an ongoing basis, update them as necessary. So if you're interested in serving on that subcommittee, Peter?
Well, Mr. Chair, so we had an open spot with that, with Sulaks going off and doing better things. I reached out to Commissioner Coles, who has graciously said that he would, I want to say accepted, but I want to say something like he didn't know what he's getting himself into, but so he will take his spot. So it'll remain Mr. Coviello, now Caleb and myself.
Okay. And then we also have a subcommittee on food trucks that Commissioner Volpe was heading, and I know Commissioner Tedesco and I had a conversation about food trucks. So if you're interested in participating in that, I encourage you to talk to Christina and get involved. And that stands for any other member of the commission who's interested in that as well. Just real briefly, what that looks at is that we don't have regulations relative to food trucks. And we asked Commissioner Volpe to take a look at it at some point earlier this year, I believe.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the other subcommittees that's sitting out there. The last thing we have is we have a representative seat at the council, the Capital Region Council of Governments, CROG. Commissioner Volpe was serving in that role, continues to currently serve. But if anyone else is interested.
Happy to give that one up.
Yeah.
There is a meeting this Thursday, so speak now, please. Nope. No, but okay. Nick's going to contact me.
Okay, so you just need to make sure if somebody steps up that you inform them
Yes.
of that so they can get on the email. There's also a number of commissions or committees, subcommittees, call them whatever they are, that come down from the town council. Traditionally, those have over the last 2 years. We've been asked to appoint somebody as a representative. One of those is the Open Space Subcommittee. This is a longstanding subcommittee from the town council, and planning and zoning has a representative on there. Bob Solka has served in that capacity over the last 2 years, and I plan on nominating him as our representative for the next 2 years as well. In addition, there's an Economic Development Strike Force Committee, which looks at pending developments with our economic development. Working with Lou Perillo, who's our townwide economic developer, and I've served in that capacity over the past 2 years, and I'll continue to do that as well. That said, anyone up here, if you have an interest, please let me know. I tried to reach out to each one of you individually and have a conversation about what your interest might be. If you can find something that you want to take a look at, let me know. We'll get a subcommittee put together, and we'll move forward. Just quickly as an example, I headed a sign subcommittee about 3 years ago, and you can start seeing the benefits of that paying off. And I just encourage everybody to go look at the newest sign to that inventory, which is the Southington Car Wash on Queen Street, which was a sign that was just recently replaced. So with that, why don't we move on to item number 12? I'll look for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting on October 19th, 2021.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion from Commissioner Salka. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 13, under public hearing, we have a Wesley Cove special permit application to construct a garage which will be in excess of 3 spaces. Property located at 131 aka 137 Mount Vernon Road in our 2025 zone, SPU 651. Mary Ellen, it's my understanding that the applicant has withdrawn this application.
Correct.
So we will close, well, we never really opened a public hearing on that, so we will, we'll move on to our business meeting. Item number A, that's been withdrawn, so there's no need for action. Item 14B, Richard Munson and Sidewalk Alkanlowski? I'm trying. I apologize. 10 lot subdivision application, property located at 136 Curtis Street, owned by Virginia Kayer et al. In an I2 zone, S1330. Mr. Brevino, this was tabled from our last meeting on October 19. Mr. Brevino. And Sev, if I can ask you to pay particular attention to speaking into that microphone that's sitting up to your right. Just for our new members, this was actually presented at our meeting, at our last meeting in October, so we're not going to get a full presentation of what this application is. We did table it and ask the applicant to go back and have a conversation with the neighbors about a number of items.
We need a new light person.
Yeah, and I think that's occurred, but Sev, you can speak to that.
Jimmy.
Side down.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. My name is Sev Bovino, planner of Craftsman Johnson Associates, representing the applicant. Orientation on the screen, you have a map that represents the entire property.
Seb, that's
is-
upside down. Could you?
Well, it depends how you look at it, yes. I could reverse it.
Too bad.
Position
I
north.
had it the other way the other time.
Move to recognize you.
One more time.
One more time.
Yep. One more time.
Right.
There you go.
Better.
So now on the left side, we have Curtis Street, which is the south side of the property. To the east, we have the rail to trail. Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little
Can
louder.
you?
I just need to explain, Sev, we don't have a speaker up here. So even though the audience probably hear you because there's speakers back there, we don't have that luxury,
Okay.
so.
So to the left is Curtis Street. To the right here, to the bottom of the map, is the rail to trail. To the west, which is up on the map, is the residentially zoned properties that surround our property. And to the north, we have industrial property, and industrial property continues around the south side, the east side. The property is served by public water and sewer. It is 20.55 acres. The proposal is for 10-lot industrial subdivision. The lots would be in area between 3/4 of an acre and 3.2 acres. The buildings shown on the plan are for an example only. Each one of these lots have to come back for site plan approval when they're ready to be built on it, so the commission will have an opportunity to decide on individual lots and the specific details of the development. We provide a 30-foot buffer as required by the regulations along the west side, along the neighbors. with a berm. The berm will have plantings on it in the areas where there's no existing vegetation. We preserve the vegetation and we supplement that vegetation with additional plantings where it's needed. In the areas, which is in this area here, the grades are pretty much the same from our property to their property. They're slightly above. We will put the berm and the plantings. As you move north, there will be some cuts to the existing grade on our property. So our development will sit below that. So we will preserve the existing vegetation and add to it as it goes north. On the right side, there's a house here. It is zone industrial, but it's a residence. So we are proposing to have a berm with trees and shrubbery at this location. But because we have only 20 feet to play with, we are seeking a waiver of the 30-foot, and we will be working within the 20-foot buffer in that area. In addition to that, we are seeking a waiver for the sidewalks along the industrial zone property here. We are proposing to complete the walks in front of our property. There exists there, and there are some sections that need to be rebuilt. The other question that staff had was Jim Grappone, I believe, wanted me to talk about the length of the cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac is 1,400 feet. But what I said before is that the regulation says that 1,000 feet generally. So it's up to the commission to look at each individual application, make a judgment call on that. In regard to the sidewalk, we request the waiver of sidewalk under section 4-06.4B of the subdivision regulations. And I'd like to point out that section 9-03.9A of the zoning regulation talks about that in I1 or IT zone, the walks are optional. So that's where we are. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thanks, Ev. Is there any questions for members of the commission? Commissioner Santago.
So, Seb, when you were last here, one of the directives, and I think the chair asked for yourself and the applicant to speak to the surrounding neighbors, because you know that, for the folks who've been on the commission before, there's a history with this particular area in town, and we had asked if before today that you would go out and talk to the neighbors about neighbors' concerns and things like that. So I'd like to ask, has that been done, and what was the results of all that?
The night of the meeting in the hallway, Richard Munson, which is here tonight, gave the card to two ladies that were in the audience here. And basically, he told them to call him to discuss any concerns. But he did talk. He told me he talked to the neighbor right here at this location. Either he met with him or he talked to him directly about his concerns. And I believe they were in agreement that the neighbor would like to see a berm there with the plantings. There was the main concern.
Right. So any other discussions between, because there's a lot of neighbors hitting on that road.
Yeah, there was, that I know, there was no other discussion with other neighbors in this area. Anybody called, Rich Munson talked to the town assistant planner, Dave Laval, asking if there were any calls into the office, trying to make contact, because we don't have their phone numbers.
Right,
And
sure.
they had not registered their phone numbers at the town hall.
Right.
So we did not make those calls.
All right. And just for edification again, this is not a site plan request. So the decision that we have this evening is, do we grant permission to divide this industrial zone 9 ways? It is not to grant a site plan, because each time one of the 9 applicants, when you get an occupant into something, they will have to come before us with an individual site plan. And at that time, we're actually going to have 9 more bites of this apple. Is that fair?
Correct. That's 10 lots.
10, okay. So 10. So your request is, can we divide this that number of ways? That is what you're asking us to
That's
see.
what we ask him. Basically, grant us a subdivision of this property.
Correct.
And it meets all the regulations.
Right. And it may not look like this. at terms of the plan, because you may have one bigger, one smaller than the other, depending upon who you get as a tenant. No?
Well, the lots are what they are. If somebody buys two lots, they can combine two lots if they want.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is it. If each lot is sold the way it is, that's what it is. Except you may see the building being shaped differently, the parking differently.
Gotcha.
So you have to deal with those issues when that comes.
And they would have to come before us for site plan, and we'd
Yes.
have to grant approval or not.
Yes, regarding drainage, parking, lighting, all that.
All that stuff. Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions for members of the commission?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. We talked about the buffer, understanding, we're talking about the site, the breaking it up into 9 separate lots. The sidewalk we talked about, which you agreed that you would put the sidewalk on Curtis Street. But the buffer itself, that would not be part of the individual lots. That would be part of what we're talking about tonight. So if we approve this, what you have submitted on a 20-foot buffer instead of the required 30-foot buffer, that's what's going to happen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So have we had any neighbors that have complained about the reduction in the buffer from the 30 feet to the 20 feet? And if so,
Not that I know.
I'm sorry?
Not that I know.
Not that you know of?
Yes, there's only one neighbor. It's to the right side here when you come in
Everything else is
on Curtis Street. I believe is Yorsky. And we haven't heard any complaints on that, no.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mary Ellen, have we received any correspondence from Mr. Yorsky or anyone at that residence?
No. Actually, the Yorsi property is to the north. So,
The middle north?
Oh, I thought it was Yorsky over here too. No, okay. This is the property I'm talking about. That's
right. The Yorsi
residentially.
one is a residential property to the
Yeah.
north. I don't.
Yeah, Yorsky, the family owns major property here.
Right. There is I think there's a residential lot up there.
Yeah.
Is there the 30-foot buffer there?
I'm not showing a 30-foot buffer there.
But to answer your question, no, they have not.
Okay, so Mary Ellen Lynn, that's what you were referring to in that email then? Oh, I thought you were referring to this house here.
Right.
This house, there's a house and a barn very close to Lazy Lane. It's industrial zone, quite deep. It's about 10, 12 acres of land here. And I didn't provide a buffer for that because I expected that to be developed as an industrial zone.
So Seth, the reduction in the buffer that you're looking for, you're doing that because you don't have any other, that's all the room that you have to play with.
Right
You
here,
don't have
yes.
the typical 30-foot buffer. You only have 20 feet, where right now it's fair to say that there's almost a non-existent buffer.
There's a building almost right at the property line.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to remove that building and put a road in its place, and we're going to have 20 feet of landscaped area.
Okay.
Can you describe?
Woloski, go ahead.
Could you describe the buffer to me in terms of how wide? You're saying it's going to be a 20-foot buffer?
From the curb line to the property line, we have 20 feet, so we're going to leave some grass shoulder for snow plowing and things like that. And then you're going to have the rise of the berm. It's about a 4-foot berm goes up, and then it will come down, and we have like a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 slope.
With about a 4-foot
4-foot wide berm.
on the top?
Yes.
Like a
And then you're going to
level area?
Then you're going to go 2-to-1 because we don't have the 30 feet, so we're going to have to go 2-to-1 to make it work.
From what I see on the detail, just says deciduous trees and shrubs. Is there any more detail than that?
No, that's it. Trees and shrubs, and the trees are
Trees and
chosen
shrubs,
from the
that's
list.
extremely vague. Can we get more specific with species?
Yeah, the species are listed on the plan where you could choose from. There's a list of trees that you can choose from. Just deciduous trees and evergreens list.
Can you bring it up there, Seb, on your,
No, I can see it.
oh, you can see it?
See
I
it.
think it's sheet G1. You all set, Steve? You all set? Okay. Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Caleb or Commissioner Coles?
I like that.
I like that.
Alternate Commissioner Caleb. Thanks, Eb. So just kind of following up on what my colleagues were asking, the plant things that are planned, and I'm going to make sure that I got what Commissioner Salko was saying right, that the planting scheduled for this piece of it, as we're subdividing it, that's going to happen, correct?
That's part of the subdivision requirements.
Okay. So as far as that's concerned, and I did read in one of the letters that was submitted to the commission for review, was to try to make sure that those are well established and are maintained. And I believe that in the particular letter there was a 2-year thing that was said. And I guess this is more of a question to maybe to Mary Ellen. Is there a way to ensure that, and I think I've asked this question before on previous applications, is there a way to ensure that those do succeed in being alive? Is it a way that we could potentially bond for that and then wait for the 2 years and then say, okay, they're established, then we can release your bond because we don't need to go back to the well and replant?
The zoning enforcement officer is typically the person on town staff who would make sure that that occurs, correct?
Yeah, well, for inspections, correct, yes. But
On an ongoing basis, they generally take a look at the properties and make sure that everything is the way that it was proposed to be. So
correct.
that would be assured through that.
And yes, that you can do a
process.
landscaping bond. Who said
To answer your question, the plans show the details, how the planting has to be done, the type of planting and all that, and the notes about the fact that they have to be taken care of and properly planted, and there's a detail for it.
Yeah, no, and that's perfect. I just want to make sure that they make it through the first couple of winters.
Yeah, the thing is, if you have a dry season, some of them may die, so you have to go back and replant, yes.
Good. Thank you, Seb. Thank you, Mr.
Bill,
Chair.
sir, any other comments from members of the commission, questions?
Yeah, I guess
Commissioner
I
Santiago?
didn't get a answer on, so I get you got 30 feet to the neighbors on top there. I get the 20 foot on the front, but on the right-hand side there, the Yorsky property, so you're not doing 30 feet there? Are you doing any
Yeah,
border
I'm
at
not
all?
showing a 30-foot buffer. If you believe that needs to be, we'd be looking for a waiver possibly there, because it doesn't make sense to plant that, and 5 years from now, we're going to bust through and remove all that.
Okay, so there's no houses there, there's open,
It's open land.
it's
and the
open
house-
land right now.
Yeah, the house is on Lazy Lane with a barn there.
Okay, so there's no, because to the north there, those houses. And so you've got a 30-foot buffer next to the houses with a berm
That's right.
that goes across there.
Yeah, all the way from here, all the way to this.
All the
This
way
is
to the end there.
This is the Ivy Drive neighborhood.
Right. So you've got that. You're going to maintain that. I think Commissioner Cole's right on the money with that. You want 20 feet on that thing. And so nothing on that side. Okay, I understand.
I have one.
Commissioner Clark?
Maybe I'm rusty. Could we talk about sidewalks and explain if they're optional, why we need a waiver?
Because I was told I needed a waiver. I thought it was clear in one part, the subdivision says one thing, the zoning says another.
That's right.
Says hedging is bad.
Okay. So maybe the question is, do we need a waiver?
When a site is developed for industrial use, the developer shall construct sidewalks and curb to town standards along all sides of the developed site, which abut a public highway, unless such requirements are waived by a 2/3 vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Sounds like you do.
So I think he does, but he's only looking for a waiver on the interior of the lot, not along Curtis Street.
Right, for the interior. Okay. And the reason that you don't think you need it, or you would opt out of it or need the waiver, is because of the industrial use?
That's for you, Seth.
Sorry, Seb.
That question was for you.
And the reason you feel you would opt out or need a waiver, you want to waive the sidewalks on the interiors because of the industrial use?
The industrial use, and they will be seldom used.
Okay.
Yeah, I cited the section of the regulation that applies to that, which is 4-06.4B. That's the section that talks about the reason for the waiver request.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I ask another question?
Hold on one second, Steve. Commissioner Volpe? You had your
Yeah,
hand up?
just for clarification though, you will be continuing the sidewalk on Curtis Street. Is that, like, I just want to be clear, because it is disjointed. I'm looking at it right now.
We are
Okay.
completing the sidewalks on Curtis.
Okay, I did have another question if I may follow up.
Fire away, you got the floor.
So I see that, like, on the plan, you have a silt fence there. What is the approximate height of the fence, especially on the abutting side with the trail?
Silt fence?
It says silt fence.
Yeah, silt fence is for erosion control. It's not for visibility. It's to prevent erosion.
I'm just a little concerned with families walking on the trail that fence may not do its due justice, especially when there's the basin there that's going to be there.
You're talking along the side here?
Along the
roadway?
trail, yeah, because it's quite close, and if that fence is not high enough and families are walking, when we walk on the trail, we often let our kiddo run in front of us or what have you. It seems like it might be a bit hazardous to not have a fence that is not made of silt.
No, we're not proposing a fence here. This is, we have about 40, 50 feet of green space. The roadway is not right up to the rail to trail. And there's a pile of chips about 6 feet in height that runs from this location all the way to the detention area. The roadway is higher than the rail to trail, so you just could not protect that with a fence if you put a fence along the rail to trail property line.
Couldn't protect what?
The visibility or anything. We are 40, 50 feet away
Mr.
from
Chair,
the
may I?
property line, then the rail
May I
to trail
address
is
this?
another like 10 feet away from the property line. And the roadway is up above it with a slope. This area here is sloped.
Yeah, I'm just asking if there's if there's a solution for the Farmington Trail, right? And it's near where the drainage pond is going to be. And a silt fence is, if I'm not mistaken, I think Commissioner Wolowski just said it's a temporary fence, correct?
That's erosion.
So what I'm seeking is an answer to safety of those who are going to be walking on the trail within the proximity of the drainage basin. If they're walking on the trail with young ones, if there's a possibility of putting a more stable fence there, not for visibility, but for safety.
Yeah, there's a regulation in place that determines if you need a fence or no around the detention area, and we are following that regulation.
I think if I read the comments, it said that there was no fence necessary around the drainage area.
I'd have to, what's it's a dry pond, right? So,
Yeah, it's determined by the depth of water that's
Right.
expected to be there and the slope of the pond and all that. And again, the people would have to climb this. This is a slope from here to that area. It would have to climb that area to go into that pond area.
I see what you're saying. I just think with the traffic and this is my opinion to my fellow commissioners, I think with the traffic that we get on that trail and the fact that it is a tourism destination, it might be in our purview to separate an industrial space from a communal area that people quite literally cross our state to walk on a regular basis, bike, jog, rollerblade. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Commissioner Volpe. Any other comments or questions from members of the commission?
I want to just go back to the
Commissioner
sidewalk
Wolowski,
thing. So you're requesting this waiver site-wide, so regardless of is this, in your mind, going to apply to each individual site plan that comes
This
through?
applies to the subdivision. The
So
developer.
you're not looking to have sidewalks removed from individual site plans?
Well, there won't be any sidewalk. Once we get the waiver, if we get the
Special
waiver.
permits, I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong phrase.
We are requesting the waiver for the subdivision sidewalks, which is related to the roadway construction. Once that road is constructed without sidewalk, the site plans, individual site plans will not have to provide the sidewalks on the roadway.
You all set? So Sev, if I could just ask one quick question on sheet G1, you show on the southern western part of your site, the property that abuts property owned by Mark C., is it C or G? Bernard. I think it might be a G, I don't know. Yeah, right there. You show a note that maintain existing vegetation, supplement gaps with additional plantings per detail. Just so I make sure that I understand it's on the record here, you're going to fill in any gaps so that it's completely screened. That property will be completely screened, as well as other properties will be
Other
completely
any
screened
property
from,
that has
from
gaps
this
will be-
subdivision,
yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. Sorry.
Commissioner Santana?
Sorry. I just want to follow up Commissioner Volpe's comments. If I'm on the rails to trails and I'm walking and I look to my left, what am I seeing? Am I seeing a fence? Am I seeing a hill? Am I seeing wood chips? What am I looking at?
If it depends where you are. If
Yeah.
you're at this location,
Take me. I'm taking a walk. Tell me what I'm seeing.
I'll pick it right here by the detention area because that's what Mrs.
Yeah, yeah, but-
Opie's concern is. This will be higher than the trail. And
So
you'll
it's a
see-
hill.
And you'll see a slope that goes up. It will be a grassed area. And then there'll be a dropping grade. And then it will obviously be a depressed area to allow the water to drain into this area. And then it will be a slope again, grassed slope going to the roadway. That's what you'll see.
As I continue to walk along, though, I'm seeing a hill. I'm seeing wood chips. What am I looking at?
You're seeing a berm. It was about 6 foot high of wood chips that exist here now, and we plan to leave it there.
Okay.
And then after that berm, after the 6 feet,
Yeah.
you probably will see a little bit of the grass area of the slope from the roadway, and then you'll see the roadway.
All right. So I'm seeing basically wood chips, grass, and then the top of the roadway because it's elevated from there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. And by the way, the edge of the rail to trail, the right of way is about 40 feet.
Okay.
The rail to trail width is about 12 feet.
Right.
On the side of the rail to trail, you have growth already between the edge of pavement and the pile of wood chips. You already have growing underbrush and that type of thing already.
Right. No, I've been there. Yeah.
So you actually, during the summertime, those things are taller than the person. You won't see through that.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
You all
Thank
set,
you.
Peter?
Yep. Thank you.
Commissioner Volpe?
So, Sev, I'm looking at the GIS right now, and the Quinnipiac River does, closely run to the edge of the property line over here by Curtis Street at the intersection of Hart and Curtis, and it does indicate that the FEMA floodway is near there. So I guess some of my concern is, while I hear you about the basin, I'm a little concerned that there should be a little bit more attention to separating the trail and this subdivision, especially because it is industrial. And that's the last point that I'll make on this, is that with the river going through there, we know that this area is prone to flooding and has been in the past. Not to say that everyone likes to go on a leisure walk while it's raining like it was on Saturday, but just to keep in mind the future of our community and what this will look like while people walk on the trail, I might want to consider my fellow commissioners to talk about having some sort of more suitable fencing over there. And that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members of the commission? Can we get a motion on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve S1330.
Okay, motion for Commissioner Salka. Do we need a separate motion on the sidewalk waiver as well as the buffer waiver? I believe we do. Should we do that first? Okay, so let's look for, Commissioner Salka, if you could withdraw your motion.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, can we get a motion on we'll start with the sidewalk waiver. There was a request for a sidewalk waiver on the interior portion of this site. Can we have a motion on that?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Salka with a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Commissioner Clock with a second, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, can you call the roll, please, Mary Ellen?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clock?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Members, is a yes, 7-0. That motion passes. Let's get a motion on the waiver for the buffer per the plans. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Clark with a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Second from Commissioner Salk. Is there any discussion?
The waiver's on the 20 versus 30
Yes, in that
in
specific part.
that one specific area.
Is that correct? Sev, is that what you're looking for?
On the, yes, the waiver at this location next to the house that's facing
So just there.
Curtis Street at this location, and then the waiver along the industrial zone area.
So it's two separate areas that you're looking for a waiver.
Right.
Is that consistent with your motion, Commissioner Clark?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Is on my second.
Okay. So with that point of clarification, do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yep.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Now let's move on to the application, the entire application itself.
I'll make a motion, we approve S1330.
Commissioner Salka with a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Commissioner Walowski. With a second, is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Walowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a yes, motion passes 7-0. Good job, Seb. Let me just say that 2 years ago, when some of you all just first walked in here, this property was one that stared us at the face, and I'm happy to see that we've moved forward in making it a better situation for the people that live out there. So thank you all for that. Moving on to item 14C, Edward Renard. Reinhardt, site plan application for a proposed 9,000 square foot building, property located at 35 Brett Street in an I2 zone, SPR 1830. Mary Ellen, I believe that this is still waiting for wetlands approval.
Yeah, correct, yes.
So can we get a motion to table?
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we table SPR 1830.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 14D, George Lapalopis. Boy, I killed that one, right?
You were having a night.
Request, I'm in rare form, but
That's fantastic.
request for, see, Nick, this is the fun that you get, is me mispronouncing names.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Request for reapproval of expired site plan for a 12,600 square foot building, property located at 122 Spring Street, Building E, in an I2 zone, SPR 1682.1. My understanding is that we're waiting for wetlands approval on this one as well.
Correct.
God, this never happens.
So with that, can we get a table, please?
So moved.
I'll
We have
second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes. Item 14E, request for release of the 2,800 bond in lieu of site plan compliance at 1187 Queen Street, SPR 1757. Mr. Grappone, is this ready?
Ready for action, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we approve SPR 1757.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 14F, release of a $74,300 public improvement bond, Murfield Estates, 45 Pacer Lane, SPR 1804.
Wow, that's not.
Yes,
Jim Gabon?
this is for all the off-site sewer and paving work that was associated with this development, and it's ready for action.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Hey, folks in the back, can we take it out to the lobby, please? Ready for action. Do we have a motion?
Just, Mr. Chair, just so so Jim, is that development done?
I believe he only has like 1 or 2 units left, believe it or not.
That went fast.
Yeah, well, it's typical Mark Lovely.
I remember when we approved that, and so that's already done. Holy.
Before he comes
There was
in
a
for
timber
approval.
He's already
he
got
has
the
half
houses
of
sold.
Holy moly. Okay, wow.
I think it points to the need of 55 and older
Gee
communities
whiz.
as outlined in our plan of
That was
conservation.
fast.
Exactly.
That was
That's
fast.
why.
Wow.
Thanks, Jen. So we have a
Thank you.
motion, we have a motion and a second, I believe? Do we have a motion and a second?
No, we don't.
Okay, can we get a motion on item 14F?
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we approve SPR 1804.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 14G, acceptance of Balmore Drive as a town accepted street, subject to a $10,000 maintenance bond, S1325. Do we have is this ready, Jim?
It's ready for action. Yes, it's the only road that will be accepted this year. It was built and inspected and ready for acceptance.
Okay, it's ready for action. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we approve S1325.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Volpe with a second.
Get on the board.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 14H, reduction of a $53,000 subdivision bond to the maintenance bond amount of $10,000, Balmore Estates, S1325. Mr. Grappone?
Yep. Well, now that we accepted the street, we can reduce the subdivision bond to the maintenance bond figure. Once the developer submits the maintenance bond, we'll release the subdivision.
Okay, so it's ready for action?
Ready for action.
And, done in sequential order. Well done. Just like an
That's what
engineer.
Karen does a great job.
Is there any discussion on this? Can we get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve S1325.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 15, administrative items. I have this again as a standing agenda item for subcommittee reports. Are there any subcommittees that have any reports at this time?
Just
Open
real
Space
quick.
meeting, the Open Space Committee
Commissioner Falco.
has, we've postponed or postponed both meetings, the last two meetings, so the next one will be scheduled next month.
Okay. Any other subcommittees?
Please.
Commissioner Woloski.
Real quick, Desegregate Connecticut has released its 2022 legislative agenda, and I thought I'd share it with everyone. So I'm going to pass them down so everyone can see it. They've got 3 items on the list, and I think we should all take a look at them and digest them, because they will be presented to the legislature and I'm sure voted on this session, this coming session. Excuse me. So.
I love the use of words like sensible.
I didn't highlight anything.
Sensible to who?
I'll
is
leave
my
that up to
first
each
question.
person
Yeah.
to do their own.
Thank you, Steve. So if we can all take a look at that, and maybe we'll have a deeper discussion about that as the legislative session approaches.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Is there any other subcommittees? Jen, anything you work yet?
I'm not yet. No, I thought I had something, but I don't.
Okay. With that, I think that Mary Ellen, you have a couple of things that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys, or let you know, if you don't know, that on November 30th, there's a special meeting, of the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's the public input session for the Affordable Housing Plan. Planometrics will be spearheading it, the commission there, so just want to remind you guys about that. It's at 7 here. And then on your next meeting in December, I think it's December 7th, if you guys can get here by 6:30, we're having the picture for you guys will be at 6:30. They'll be here about 6 to get everything set up. So if you could try to be here by
Try to clean up nice.
so, thanks.
Okay.
Write that off.
Shaven is recommended for gentlemen. Well,
So just a question, Mr. Chair.
yes, Commissioner Santiago.
So Mary Ellen, so on the affordable housing thing, so that's going to be run by Planometrics and we're here to listen. How's that go?
It's a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. You're welcome to participate and support him in any way. You guys are a player in the
Yep.
plan as well. So
Yep.
it's valuable that all of you are here to see what the public has to say as well.
Okay.
So we really want everybody to hear, what.
But it's
folks have to
primarily a listening to the public thing. So they're not going to, are they going to present something or are we just here to listen? How's that going to go?
Glenn will do a brief presentation to the folks here, just to kind of give a heads up as to, what we're doing and what the process is and things like that. So I think they'll do a brief presentation in the beginning and then kind of open it up to the floor to kind of be like a Q&A kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So,
So they're looking for more input than,
correct. Yeah.
This
So
is-
we have it posted on the town website. We got it on, I think it's on the, it went out to all the different departments and some of their pages and things like that. So
Yeah, because we like to have public input. So I know Record Journal, I know Jesse had an article
I saw
on it.
that.
And so we should, because we value public input. So, whatever we could do to get that known. Do we know, is there a council meeting between now and then? I'm wondering.
I don't believe so.
No, because I wonder, you know, they could say
No, it's on
something.
the 22nd.
Okay, so it'd be, you know, nice to get the word out there for folks to come. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so public hearing infers that we're here to hear
Here,
from the public.
Oh my gosh, is it?
Yeah. And in the words, I can't let this go by, in the words of Mary Ellen Edwards, if you don't know, now you know. So with that, yeah, you all like that? You like that? See, Nick, you get those things too, right?
Biggie Smalls said that. That's where you got it? I love that.
Culture reference, I understand.
Hey, you got to be on your toes. Every once in
Heels
a
or
while, you're going to
jazz?
hear one.
Two of them.
Excited to be
Are you
here.
all set, Mary Ellen?
I'm not saying.
Am I embarrassing? You look a little red, but
Yeah.
maybe embarrass myself or my kids for that matter, but that's a different story.
Excellent.
Item 16 under items for schedule for a new public hearing. I understand you have two ones that came in after the printing of this agenda. You want to talk about those
We
briefly?
do. There's a garage in excess of 3 spaces, 1 East Mountain Drive, which is set for the December 7th public hearing, and then a 2-lot re-subdivision at 365 Queen Street will also be on the December agenda.
Okay. Receipt of new applications, item 17. You got something there?
Yep. I guess it's Mance Auto Sales and Repair, site plan application, and they're proposing additional parking. That's still being reviewed by staff, but get it ready
Okay.
for your next agenda.
Okay, so just before we adjourn, I'm going to open it up if anyone has anything they want to say or talk about or mention. Going to get out of here in a couple minutes. Anything? Seeing nothing. Newer members, come prepared. It's valuable to go out and look at these sites before you walk in, so that you understand what we're talking about and you have a firsthand knowledge of what the site actually looks like. So I would encourage you all to try to get out there as much as possible. It's good to see you all. I look forward to working with this now very large group, but it's exciting at the same time. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second.
Second. Nick, give it to Nick.
Be a
All those in
spicy
favor?
coffee.
Nick.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, folks.
Very good.
I don't care what.
Good job.
When anybody says anybody opposed, I always want to just say nay. I don't know. I just like nay.
It's almost a knee-jerk reaction
Yes.
for me.